So I'm sure by now everyone has heard the recent news of how Maui is proposing legislation to phase out short-term rentals in apartment zoning. Most of these properties have been legally operating as short-term rentals for decades, but those who support the legislation believe that taking away an owner's right to rent their property by the night or by the week will create more affordable housing for Maui's workforce. I think we can all agree that there is an affordable housing crisis on Maui, and it's a major problem. And something definitely needs to be done about it. But is eliminating short-term rentals the solution? In this video, we're going to take a look at one of the condo communities that would be impacted by this proposal. I'm at Kapalua Bay Villas, which is an oceanfront community of 141 one- and two-bedroom condos, and it was built in the 1970s. Right now, there's a total of 3 current listings in the community with an asking price between $2.5 million to $3.4 million. The property is gated, it has 3 swimming pools, a tennis court, and is right next to a beautiful beach. But before we get into too much detail about Kapalua Bay Villas, let's take a look at the surrounding area and see what kind of properties are nearby.
Let's start by taking a look at the properties directly to the north of Kapalua Bay Villas. Just above the boardwalk is a residential community called Kapalua Place. There's currently 1 listing in the community, and it's a 6-bedroom, 6.5-bath home listed for $19.5 million. Now, to the north of Kapalua Place, along the coastline, and just past the boardwalk is a condo community called Kapalua Ironwoods. The community consists of 2- and 3-bedroom condos that are not vacation rentable. At this time, there's 1 listing in the community. It's a 2-bedroom listed for $3.95 million. Now, as we start to spin heading towards the south, above Kapalua Bay Villas, you can see another community called The Ridge. Now, Kapalua Ridge is another apartment-zoned vacation rental community that's on the Minatoia list that would also be impacted by this legislation. Of course, straight ahead now is Kapalua Bay Villas, but if you look past the Bay Villas, you'll see another white building. That's the Montage, otherwise known as the Residences at Kapalua Bay. Now, that is a hotel resort zoned property, so it does allow short-term rentals and it would not be impacted by this legislation. As of right now, there's 7 3-bedroom listings between $5 and $12 million at the Montage. And by the way, the HOA dues are around $7,000 a month, and they recently had a special assessment of over $400,000. Now there's one more property to look at here, and it's the single-family home that's out on the point. That is 9 Bay Drive. It's a 7-bedroom single-family home, and it's currently the 3rd most expensive property listed on Maui at $30 million. So what's the point of looking at all these expensive properties that are surrounding Kapalua Bay Villas? Well, first of all, most of the properties that we looked at, with the exception of the Montage, already do not offer short-term rentals. So if their value is as high as it is already without short-term rentals, then the likelihood of Kapalua Bay Villas value dropping significantly without the use of short-term rentals is very low. So what is likely to happen to these properties if they can no longer offer short-term rentals? Ultimately, it's very unlikely that they'll ever be considered affordable housing. I believe most owners would opt to just keep their property as a second home and occasionally let friends and family use it. Now, of course, some owners will want to sell the property because they can't use it as they intended, and some owners will have to sell because of the loss of rental income that helps to support the carry costs like the HOA dues and the property taxes. But given the values of the surrounding properties alone, it's unlikely that long-term rentals at Kapalua Bay Villas would ever be considered affordable. And it's even less likely that they would be considered affordable to own for workforce housing. As you can see for yourself in this aerial tour, Maui is an absolutely gorgeous island, and it will always be a desirable place for people to want to visit and to own real estate. And eliminating short-term rentals in properties like this will do nothing to change that fact. Properties like this are more likely to be used as second homes and sit completely vacant when owners are not present if they're not allowed to short-term rent. And I truly believe that eliminating short-term rentals will do more to hurt the people that it intends to help. The impact on Maui's tourist-based economy would be significant. Consider for a moment all the businesses that are directly or indirectly supported by the short-term rental industry on Maui, and the number of jobs that would be lost would make it even more difficult for your average family to afford living on Maui. Also consider for a moment the massive amount of transient accommodation tax and property tax that's generated by short-term rentals. That tax revenue has been in the past and would continue to be one of the largest contributing factors to funding the construction of affordable housing. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I believe the absolute best solution to fixing the affordable housing crisis on Maui is to build more new houses that are actually designed for the long-term living of full-time residents, and design policies that would ensure that those properties would continue to be either rented or owned by Maui's workforce. And I'm confused as to why building more affordable homes isn't being fast-tracked by the county instead of wasting time and money attacking short-term rentals. That's my honest opinion as a resident that cares deeply for the island and all of its people. But I want to hear from you too. What do you think? Whether you support the elimination of short-term rentals or oppose it, please share your thoughts on the best path forward for Maui and its people in the comment section below. Thanks for watching all the way to the end, and I hope to see you all on the next video. Aloha.